Welcome back to the shop, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have a fun teardown video for everybody. Now this is out of a Ford Ranger, or in this case, the Mazda B series pickups. This is a 2.5 liter engine. I'm not gonna go into too much detail because if I get something wrong, you guys will have my arse on this because these trucks kind of seem to have a cult following, which I don't know why. However, we're gonna be tearing this engine down. This thing actually has lost compression in cylinder number 3. So the quick backstory on the engine, it has about 200, let me just double check. Yeah, so the engine has about 215,000 miles on it, which should be no match for these engines, according to the interwebs. Everybody says these things go infinity miles, which obviously wasn't the case. But the guy that I bought it from did say that the thing had overheated and there was a new radiator, thermostat housing, and that stuff was all kind of replaced. So it leads me to believe something went wrong when it overheated, and that's what caused the demise of this engine. So to note, this is just a single cam engine, 8 spark plugs, 2 spark plugs per cylinder, a little tiny primitive engine. It's actually going to be a pretty simple one to take apart, and some of the engine harness and all that stuff is already off of it because I had to get this thing running again. So let's dive right in. We'll start tearing this thing apart, and let's see what kind of damage this little engine that's not supposed to be able to break endured here. So let's do a quick walk around. This is a 2.5 liter engine out of the Ford Rangers and Mazda B series trucks. We'll get this intake removed first. A lot of this stuff is pretty simple here. And then we'll get this valve cover off and get the cylinder head bolted, unbolted, and the exhaust manifold here. All this stuff's pretty simple. There's not a lot of stuff that looks like it's going to be challenging on this one, which is a good thing. So let's start by getting this exhaust manifold off, and then this intake manifold, then we'll get that cylinder head off. All right, let's get these exhaust manifold bolts out, like a 13 millimeter or a half probably, more likely a half. That one had sparks. And for the hell of it, I'm just gonna remove the engine mounts too. Maybe somebody will need these or something, sell them on eBay. All right, so now that I got the manifold off, I can see that it's not actually cylinder 3 that was shot. It's cylinder 2, because here's cylinder 3, there's the valve in there. There's cylinder 4. You can see the valve in there, nice and rusty looking. And then there's cylinder 2, and there's no valve. That's just missing completely. So that belonged to the cylinder now. And there's cylinder 1. So definitely have an issue here in cylinder 2. It wasn't cylinder 3. Well, let's just keep ripping here and get this thing apart on the intake manifold side. A couple of little things. There's just like a vacuum line here that must be for, I'm not 100% sure, maybe PCV or something. Yeah, it must be for PCV valve or something because there's that little PCV filter. Maybe it's just a fresh air side. So that's going to be off. And then this looks like, yeah, again, another 13 millimeters on the lower part of the intake. I guess if you wanted to take this upper off, it's 13 millimeter too. Let's get this thing off here. I had to grab a handy dandy extension for this. One thing I'm noting here is all the bolt sizes are a little bit different from top to bottom. So be aware. So now let's see if we have these same findings on the intake side. Ooh, there's some definitely stuff looking like it's cracked in there. I don't know if you can see that if it's too bright. Look at that valve guide. It might actually be cracked. Yeah, it is, definitely. That valve guide is cracked right there. But there is a valve there, so that's a plus. It definitely looked like oil came up through there. And intake valve. Ooh, a bunch of carbon. Can't really see that, the camera here. There's definitely a lot of carbon down there. Yucky. Well, let's go take a peek over at this intake now. All right, so there's some nice findings here. Here's cylinder 2. And I realized after looking in here, there is a bunch of metal particles in there. I don't know if that's part of the valve guide, the other valve, possibly a ring. But that thing is full of metal. So that is pretty well shot. Same thing with cylinder number 1. It looks like this probably just got flushed around. Every single intake runner's got metal debris in it. So when it happened, when the noise made a noise and decided to shut the engine off, it was probably well chooched on that point. Pretty simple little throttle body. This thing looks like, seriously looks like something that belongs on a pressure washer or something. Very, very, very small throttle plate. This is your idle air control valve. And your TPS right here. So very, very simple design. This long runner. Must have been their like way to try to get torque out of this thing somehow. The fuel pressure regulator is hiding down there. You got your little Schrader port here. And ultimately, yeah, your injectors. Port injection, which, that one's dirty. Doesn't look damaged, so that's a plus. Maybe the injectors are good still. Who knows? 200,000 miles, probably junk. So let's get the rest of this thing torn apart. Get the cylinder head off. Get this cover off. 8mm bolt on the timing cover here. Let me know if anybody needs a timing cover. This thing's in really good shape, and I think these things break all the time. So if somebody needs one, I got one for sale for you. Hit me up in the DMs. There we go. Ooh, I'm surprised this belt didn't break. This thing's got some good old hairline cracks on it. You can see right here, this thing is, I don't know, it might be even factory. Well, these tensioners are kind of a jerk to do too. They really screw you putting the belt back on. Simple, but man, do they fight you. Oh, am I gonna get lucky? No. Of course, there's still coolant in it. Yippee me. That coolant is like fluorescent almost. What the heck's that all about? Crank pulley bolt. Like a 22mm. Is this thing gonna come off? Maybe? Oh, no way. I got lucky. Oh, yeah. Look at that. You never get that lucky on one of these. Usually it all sticks to it. You can always get a puller for this thing. Woo! All right, timing belt coming off. Let's get this tensioner out of the way. Close your eyes, everybody. Get this belt out of here. Oh, that still spun pretty good. Belt out of here. Yeah, maybe the belt was much worse than I thought. Look at that. Those teeth are ready to come right off this thing. This is a case study on why you need to replace your timing belt, people. That is not good. That could leave you stranded. Oil pump pulley out of the way. A little arrow for the timing mark and a diamond. And this little notch. Okay, and then we got this little 10mm stud thing here. What else do we got cooking here? I think another one down here. Yeah, this little screw and an 8mm. So let's get those out of here. One. What such a Ford thing to do. Oh yeah, then we gotta get this crank sensor out of the way, and that's what, an 8mm? Yep, that hasn't moved in ages. All right, this crank sensor is not gonna move, so somebody's gonna have to call the doctor here. Oh, well, save the cover maybe. Oh, we got it. Look at that. Dude, that thing is, that's part of the housing for it now. Great. All right, now you can see this is pretty much bare bones. And what a tiny engine. There's like nothing to it. I'm pretty sure the manifold, the intake and the exhaust makes up probably 70% of the weight of this thing. Okay, I'm exaggerating because cast iron. All right, next up on the list is to remove the valve cover and the cylinder head and see the damage on the inside here. And that's gonna be the fun part. Not a lot to it. Let's keep on going here. Do we need some pryage? I think so. It looks like some RTV on this thing. Oh, there we go. I got it. Somebody put a Felpro valve cover gasket on, it appears. And that's making us stick around. There we go. Just like that, magic. Clean looking valve cover. That's a plus, huh? There we have it, the monster single cam 2.5 liter. Wow. Actually, the cam looks pretty dang good for 215,000 miles. You see there's like a little bit of carbon buildup, and not terrible. Yeah, overall, I'm impressed on the condition of everything else on the inside. All right, I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm just gonna take these off one by one. People are going to be like, oh my God, you need to do the proper sequence. Negative. Tenaruski head bolts. There. 1, 2, 3, 8. Got her. Oh my gosh, she's heavy. Ew. Oh no. That don't look good. And as you can see, we definitely got some grit in here. And what are the kids saying these days? Cylinder number 2. The piston has exited the chat. Look at that. I think just, where did the piston go? I bet you that's all this. I bet you that's what it is. I bet this is all piston. Holy crap. Where the hell did it go? Oh my goodness. All right, let's take a peek at this cylinder head now. God, this thing is extremely heavy. Freaking cast iron, dude. I always fail to remember how heavy that stuff is. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it took a beating. Still got the graphite gasket. That's probably the cast iron go-to, huh? No multi-layered steel here. Wow. You know, I would think this thing would be a little bit more beat up just by seeing that the piston's completely gone. But it's not terrible. I mean, this thing, it's shot, obviously. But, you know, you just think to expect to see a lot more carnage than what's eliciting to be on. Look at this valve. It just sunk right in. That one got hit by the piston, too, and just bent the heck out of it. Pushed it all around here in the seat. Wow, some good carnage. Not terrible. I thought I'd see worse, but definitely exploded. I can't wait to get the oil pan off because I guarantee there's going to be a chunk of piston down there. It has to be. All right, let's see if we can get this cam out of here and see if this thing got oil starved or what the story really happened here. Maybe that's part of the problem. I don't think it is. You never know. It could be it. We designed a screw to hold the plate on. Fancy, fancy. Ford's genius things they think of. There we go. I think this thing was treated pretty darn good, to be honest. Now they're all out. There we go. Cam is out. And even the bearing surface on this stuff looks pretty darn good. This thing was well oiled. Somebody took care of this thing. I know that for a fact. Even these bearing surfaces in here, I mean, they all look good. All right, I might be able to just squeeze this keeper thing on here because there's no valve on this thing. Oh yeah, get the keepers out with the magnet. Oh, perfect. There's some keeper action. A valve spring. Let's see if we can get whatever used to be a valve out of there. What a heavy dog. Look at this. Well, there's my valve. Not much left of it, huh? Lovely. Yeah, looks still straight, though. I wonder how true that actually is. Maybe I could do the same thing on the other valve. That one's actually got some serious tension on it. Well, maybe. I got one keeper. 2 keepers. Yep, I got it. Look at that. The power of the weight. Yeah. Now that one, she don't look too straight anymore. Ford Ranger goes infinity miles until it doesn't. She took a hit from that piston hardcore. The old Rusty Shackelford. Now you can kind of see with both the valves out what it looks like in there. Look at that guide. Just destroyed it. I think that this piston probably just ended up having to fail or something. That's what caused the failure of this engine. Well, I don't know. Let's keep digging. Look at the gouges in the side of the cylinders here. That wrist pin just drug right into it. That must have been pretty violent. Good Lord. Well, let's get this oil pan off and flip it over and see what falls out of it. That's gonna be fun. If anybody's looking to buy an engine stand, I bought this one from Harbor Freight. I know there's some people out there that are anti-Harbor Freight for whatever reason. That's great. But for the price of this thing and for what it can do, This has been the best engine stand that I've bought. It just works really good. It's so effortless, smooth. So here you go, my little plug for Harbor Freight. You owe me nothing, Harbor Freight, don't worry. Look at that, ooh, black oil. Ew, ew, ew. I hear a lot of stuff teetering in there. Try not to make too big of a mess right here. All right, here we be, 8mm bolts coming out. There's a bunch of them. Give this thing a little love tap too. Woo! No way, what's that? Look at this. I already got chunks of the piston falling out already. Okay, well, why don't I flip it back over? See if I can catch everything. Oh my gosh, this thing's making some pretty nasty noises. Oh no. Oh. Well, here's an oil control ring. We found that in there. Oh, sad. What a sad day. All right, so here is what we're working with. The devil's dust right down in here. Look at this, parts of the ring right there, the oil control ring. That's all piston skirt. That's why she wasn't running and had no compression in cylinder 2. Is what we find. See this counterweight on the crankshaft that was spinning around a few times and made some chunks smack around. Oh, look at that. Oh, there's piston just mushed in there. Holy crap. Oh, yeah, that's all. Oh, wow, yeah. You guys, this is pretty intense. That's some carnage right there. Well, let's get this crankshaft out of here. Now we can scoop back onto the 10mm. You know, I get a kick out of Ford because this is pretty funny. This is for the timing cover where you had an 11, an 8, a 10, and a 10. Bearing, 215,000 miles. I will say I'm impressed at that. I mean, there's a little wear on it, but overall, that thing was taken pretty dang good care of. This was the bearing of the failed cylinder. That one had a lot more wear. You can actually feel it as like gritty from being, that thing got jarred around pretty hard, I bet. So that makes more sense why this thing did what it did. Here's cylinder 1 bearing. That one's got pretty beat up right here. But overall, the piston skirts look pretty darn good. I mean, I'd have to clean them, but yeah, the wear on them looks normal. I mean, this doesn't look that bad. The rings aren't seized in there or anything like that. Oil control ring doesn't look all shot on it, not full of carbon or anything. So somebody took care of this truck and I don't know, did a dang good job with the maintenance on that. I will give them credit there. That all looks pretty darn good. I'll pop those rest of those bearings off. Let's get these main caps off, get the crank out. Well, here's the look of a main. And those bearings look really good. I mean, there's like almost no wear on those. Wow. Let me wipe it once. Check it out now as I wiped it off. You see there's a little bit of like scorch in there on this one, but man, they freaking look great. You know, I just keep having to go back to the mileage on some of these things and the condition of the insides. They just look really good as long as you maintain them. Quite the find there, boys and girls. Got it. I'm not reusing these parts, just so you know. Big old crankshaft coming out. Oh, another heavy component. That's good for throwing my back out. I'm gonna put this thing on the bench. 3, 2, 1. Yep. All right, let's take a peek at this thrust bearing before we move over to the crank right away. You're kind of aware this thing is a manual transmission. You can see this thing actually, yeah, this is the hard side that takes the pounding. And actually, you know, there's wear on it, but I've seen far worse. Maintenance, man. All right, so there's some more piston that popped over to cylinder number 3 and number 4. That could have been from me twisting it over. Look at this. Here's a big chunk of the piston right here. Look at that. God, that's a souvenir. Look at that thing. It's the top part of the piston. There's the ringland right there. Wow, what a monster. Just ate it. This must be the PCV baffle here, and that looks to be the PCV, what do they call this thing? PCV filter. That goes up to that little box right here. So that's how that system works. All right, well, let's draw our attention over to this crankshaft. You know, this crank, I mean, other than like these markings on it from the piston falling out of it, doesn't look bad either. Maybe now I see why you Ranger guys like to stroke the Ranger ego on this thing. Because, yeah, they do hold up pretty darn good if you treat them right? I think you can apply that to any car. Change the damn oil. Yeah, a lot of rotating mass there to crunch up that piston. Well, I don't know. Overall, we have parts. We have lots of damaged parts. Well, there you have it, crew. We're going to stop here because there's not too much more we can do to this engine to show anything that's going to be fun, because we already kind of found the damage. Now, I know there's a lot of people that love these Rangers. They do have a cult following, and they must love these engines. They do get higher miles, it seems like, but dude, these things have no power. They're completely gutless. They're a pooch of an engine. Yeah, I don't know why people love them so much, but here it is. If this is the engine you want, the ones that don't explode, well, apparently this one did explode. You have to let me know in the comments what you think went wrong here, because the guy said it overheated, so I'm kind of suspecting that either A, the piston had cracked, or, you know, maybe the cylinder had swelled in that area because it got so hot, like superseded hot, and then it just kind of swelled up one day and boom, went good night. So we're going to stop there. I'm going to see if there's any parts to salvage. Probably not. The thing looks pretty weathered, to be honest. I might sell some stuff. But there you have it, the 2.5 liter out of the Ford Ranger Mazda B series pickups. These things are kind of becoming a dinosaur. I don't think you can even really get them anymore. I know finding the one for this thing was, I don't know, a treat in itself. That's another video and a story for a later date. Maybe I'll show a video how garbage these things is. I don't know. I got a couple other little cool fun projects that I get to show you guys soon coming up. And hopefully you guys will watch. I'm going to try to get some more videos up to date here. So thanks for watching. Thanks for watching the Teardown. We will catch you in the next video.